Thank you. Good morning to our county council members, County Manager Deneen, Mayor Derrick Henry, Daytona Beach City Commissioners, City Manager Chisholm, the members of the First Step Shelter Board of Directors, Mayor Henry, Mayor Bill Hall, Mr. Joe Forte, Mr. Dwight Selby, Mr. Mike Panaggio, Mr. Bill Milano, to the members of the faith organization, city officials, county officials, our partners at Catholic Charities, Halifax Health Hospital, Stuart Marchman, our architect, Mr. John Hall, our generous donors, and all of you, our invited guests. Today we're celebrating a remarkable achievement, the culmination of months and years of planning. The word planning is kind of a bland word. We forget that planning encompasses weeks, days, hours of work by county and city employees to identify this site that we're standing on this morning and secure all of the permits that we're going to need as we move forward. They not only stepped up to the plate, but they exceeded all of our anticipated hopes. We overlook sometimes that it incorporates committed leadership that we are blessed to have here in the city of Daytona Beach, encouraging those who are planning to persevere toward success. We fail to recall, oftentimes, the tremendous donation of time and expertise by the First Step Shelter Board, which stepped into the breach and found the wisdom, and I dare say found the courage, to recognize that it was a new day and that we were going to begin to lay a foundation that would last for the next 25 years and beyond. Today is a groundbreaking ceremony to provide services for the most vulnerable among us in our community. As human beings, we need to rest in order to recharge our batteries. We need to be safe while we are resting. And we need to perceive during the time that we are in a facility that we are safe. We need to believe that we are safe so that we can face the challenges that await us the next day. A principal goal of this new facility is to provide that safety for those who rest and even those who work here every day. Folks, without a place to stay, we can sometimes lose our direction and our focus. We can sometimes recognize that it's difficult when we don't have a place to lay our head every night. But in this facility, those individuals will be able to get medical attention, education, counseling, referrals to even more services that will help them, plus a bed to rest in, and 3 good meals every day. All of that under one roof. We will be able to sleep more than 100 people in a comfortable setting every night. Our new kitchen in this facility will feed them 3 times a day. And as we prepare to erect the walls of this building, I want to reflect on the virtual walls that have crumbled during the last year. The first wall to crumble was the wall that it could never be done. The second wall to crumble was the wall of finding enough community support. The third wall to crumble was the wall of there's no place where a shelter can be built. And the fourth and final wall that crumbled was the wall of not having enough money to make this project a reality. Daytona Beach is a great city, a gem that's bordered by the Atlantic Ocean and sheltered by towering oaks and pines, with a rich tradition of philanthropic generosity. I want to make a special thank you to everyone that supported the First Step Shelter program. It is because of all of you that we have now come to this historic day in the county of Volusia. First Step Shelter and all that it represents is an inspiration to all of us that good works can be achieved by communities that share a common vision. Although Daytona Beach is in the forefront of the shelter location, all of our sister cities here on the east coast of the county are ones that we should take our hats off to, because they rallied together with our city in order to make this dream possible. Creating that vision is sometimes the hardest part of the job. This facility is a dream come true for the professionals, the advocates, and the volunteers who have worked in this community for years to ameliorate the challenges of those who are experiencing homelessness right now. It will be a beacon for those who pass through its doors, a brilliant reminder that the community does care, that even though life is tough, there is hope, that being homeless today does not mean being homeless forever. Teamwork between the public and private sector is not anything that's new. There are examples of great teamwork like that all over this nation. But often we forget about them. We get a mindset that the government should do it, or that the faith community should do it, or that anybody but us should do it. Many people in our community have worked for decades assisting those who have experienced homelessness. Each one of them has made a contribution, big or small, to identifying the causes and developing the appropriate solutions that relate to homelessness. Helping homeless people is not an easy calling. As a retired pastor, and for those pastors who sit in this audience or stand today, I recognize how many of you every single day do things in your individual churches that help the homeless to have the hope that they need. Many of you in this audience have been on the front lines of attacking this problem of homelessness for many years. And I would dare say, if I asked you to roll up your sleeves, I'd see the battle scars that prove you've been fighting. So today, we thank each one of you in whatever role that you've played in bringing us to this moment. A wise man once said, "Those who are closest to the problem are those who are closest to the solution." Let us pray. Hear our prayer today, O Lord, for all the men, women, boys, and girls who are homeless today, for those sleeping under bridges, on park benches, in doorways, bus stations, or safe zones, for those who can only find shelter for the night, but must wander our streets in the daytime, for families broken because they could not afford to pay the rent, for those who have no relatives or friends that can take them in, for those who have no place to keep possessions that remind them of who they are, for those who are afraid and hopeless, for those who have been betrayed by our social safety net. For all these people, we pray that you will provide through First Step Shelter soon to be erected on this property, security, hope, and help. We pray for those of us with warm houses and comfortable beds, that we will not be lulled into complacency and forgetfulness. Help us, Lord, to see your face in the eyes of every homeless person that we meet, so that we may be empowered through both word and deed, and through the political means that we have, to bring justice, shelter, and peace to those in our community who are homeless. Amen. We're going to ask at this time for the Daytona Beach Police Department Honor Guard to come forward and present our colors. Let us stand. Thank you. Our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. We have several noted individuals who will come and address us at this time, and I'm sure they will recognize, if needed, those who serve with them in whatever capacity. Our first speaker will be the Honorable Mayor Derrick Henry, Mayor of the City of Daytona Beach.
I think it is befitting that it would be frigid this morning. Let us consider the purpose for which we are assembled here. It is a high and towering purpose, one that stretches well beyond each of our individual ability to reach and to touch. It takes and it took a community effort for us to arrive at this moment in our history. No one person, no one man, no one woman could have made this happen. It took all of us, hands, hearts, and funds to bring us to this moment. So I would that each of you would give yourselves and all of the hands and hearts that you know have been committed to this task, as well as those who might have been, for whatever reason, opposed to it. Because we have to always remember that those who oppose us today, tomorrow they may join us in this work. And most times when we have opposition, they oppose us not because they dislike us, but because they see a different way. But this is the way that this community has chosen. So let us give ourselves and all that we know who are a part of this process a round of applause. There are too many people for me to thank all. So I want to make my comments, but I also, it is an expression of thank you, because I know that this day wouldn't be possible without the hands and ideas of so many different people. But if you feel omitted, just know that it's not my heart. I thank each of you for what you've done. I first want to commence with the First Step Shelter Board. I serve as the mayor of Daytona Beach, and I also have the distinct pleasure of serving on the First Step Shelter Board. Joe Forte is our treasurer, and he is here today. Mayor Bill Hall is our secretary. Mike Panagio is one of our members. Dwight Selby is another member of our board. We have recently added from Port Orange, Chase Tremont, Bill Milano from Chase Tremont from Port Orange, and Bill Milano from Ponce Inlet. I mention each of them by name because the work that we do with First Step is above and beyond the normal work of being elected and the normal work of being a business person in our community. But it is an important work, and we are a team, and we will need each of you to stand with us and to work with us as we aspire to make this a step in the right direction, a step out of homelessness, a step towards the homeless individual's opportunity to fulfill the American dream. But we will not be able to achieve that alone. And ultimately, our goal is to take this process off of public funding. And that is a Herculean endeavor that we're embarking upon. So we will need you to spread the word. And we do not want the time frame or the construction length to hold us back in this process. So we need your voices, we need your purses, we need all of your resources to join us in this effort. I also want to thank all of my colleagues on the City Commission. Commissioner Ruth Traeger is here, former Commissioner Patrick Henry, who has worked diligently as well in this effort and who we are relying on to help us in his new role as a state representative, along with our legislative delegation as we aspire to bring monies from Tallahassee to help us with this process. I would be remiss if I did not thank everyone who is on the County Council, commencing with my mentor and friend, Councilwoman Joyce Cusack. Who, when days got dark for me, and who very often would just call me and encourage me and tell me, you're on the right path, keep at it, we will get there. County Chairman Ed Kelly, whose leadership, I dare say, without this process, it never would have happened. It just wouldn't have happened. And Councilwoman Billy Wheeler, who, like Councilwoman Cusack, was steadfast in encouraging me and steadfast in this process, as well as Councilwoman Heather Post. Dr. Durham speaks for himself, and he has spoken eloquently as always, but his efforts have been monumental. There's no voice, no face that has been more consistent with helping us to bring this process to fruition, along with our city manager, Jim Chisholm. Bob Williams, another hand that has, in so many areas, Bob is an expert. He's knowledgeable, he's caring, he's compassionate, and he has been a champion for this cause. The CEO Business Alliance, the Chamber of Commerce, and perhaps most importantly, the faith organization. This process, they took this on as a cause that they would champion. And you will hear from Father Phil in just a moment, who will speak to this issue and why it is that they supported it. But I want to say to Faith and Jessica, who challenged me about a year ago. She said to me in a meeting, very simply, that this cause needs someone who is willing to step up and stand up. And I told her that I would think about it. I went home and I thought about it and I prayed about it, and my response was to join with them and others to try to make this a reality. So I want to thank you for the prodding, but I also just want to thank you for having the compassion to recognize that we can work together, faith, community, government, and we can do great things. The Root Foundation, Roseanne Tornatore, Teresa Doan, George Anderson are just a few of the people who have already donated. The Speedway, NASCAR, tremendous amounts of money, but it will continue to take more money for us to reach our goal. In conclusion, I want to say that no project is perfect. No project, and this project is not a perfect project, but it is a part of a larger solution. And we have so many different hands that are working on this goal and working on this effort. We all have to continue to plow, to work together until we make this facility a reality. We will never end homelessness, but the goal is to end homelessness for those who desire not to be homeless. Thank you for all that you've done, and thank you for all that you will do, and together we can achieve our goals. God bless.
Thank you, Mayor Henry. Our next speaker is County Chair Ed Kelly. Will you give him a hand as he comes representing the County of Volusia?
You know, the further you go down the list of people to speak, you say, well, why are you going to say the same thing they said? Dr. Durham, you started off laying out everything that was there. Mayor Henry, you followed saying everything I was going to say, including the weather today, which is appropriate. And you dressed the way I was going to wear an overcoat, but I thought if any pictures show up around the country with us in overcoats, it might not be good for the Chamber of Commerce weather that we experience. So I didn't, but I did wear a sweater and a jacket. And my beanie, There you go. So any of you who have taken pictures of Dr. Durham, please delete those or Photoshop the coat off of it. One or the other. In all seriousness, between what y'all said, Reverend Durham, Mayor Henry, the key word in all of this is together. I felt like years ago, I was motivated initially by Judge Schumann. She attended our Volusia Council of Governments meeting one evening and laid upon our hearts what we could do. At that moment, we started, countywide, we started trying to address the homeless issue. It's been a while. I think that's 4 years ago at least, maybe longer. 5 years ago, Mayor Henry, 5 years ago that we started. The more we went, the easier I thought it should be to be able to bring together the public sector, the faith-based groups, the social services groups, the private sector, and the community. Seemed like a simple process, getting everybody together. But somehow, all of you played a part in making that happen. It wasn't just one. Sure, there were some that were out front. There was a lot of you working behind the scenes to make it happen. But the key word was together, what we can do as opposed to doing it individually. I want to thank the members. I know you've been recognized. Ms. Cusack, our county councilwoman, Billy Wheeler, Joyce Cusack. Joyce was very instrumental in this. She's been on her heart for a long, long time, probably 10, 15 years, I'm guessing. Billy Wheeler stood there side by side with us and the county. And I want to thank County Manager Jim Deneen for finding the funding to make it happen. And he said once we were going to do this, he said he'll find the funding. So that was a key part, a key element in making it all happen. But it all goes down back. I don't know if there's any other council member that's here. I know there are like 4 different events going on this morning, and some couldn't be here, some are at different places. But I want to thank all of you again for your involvement, whatever part you played in making this happen, to bring us, to make the vision, which is what you had initially, become the reality that we're seeing today. And this is just the middle road of the vision. But it takes the vision It takes the action to get the plan together, and then it takes the action to make it work. And for all of you, thank you, and I'm happy that I would be able to play a small part in this and making it happen, because as Mayor Henry said, those who want to be off of homelessness, that's what our goal is. And those are the ones that we want to help and find and help make them useful citizens for our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, County Chair Kelly. Our next speaker certainly needs no introduction to those of us who've been involved in this project from its inception. One of the champions of providing some kind of relief for those in our community who are homeless is the Honorable Judge Belle Schuman. She's coming now to address us. Yes, give her a hand.
Well, thank you very much. Many years ago, a discussion began of the acute lack of a shelter and the terrible impact that that had on our county. At that time, there were over 2,000 individuals that were experiencing homelessness on an everyday basis. Every day in this county, 2,000 individuals, not families, just individual people. And there were less than 20 beds that were not earmarked for some other purpose, like the rape crisis shelter or something like that. So 2,000 people and 20 beds. This overburdened the emergency room, the evac and mental health system. I spent a lot of my time as a county court judge across the street at the county jail. And in that process, I saw people, individuals, cycling through the jail at great expense. 50 people had been arrested over 6,000 times at a cost of $12 million. Public spaces like parks and beaches became our de facto shelter, hampering the enjoyment and economic growth of our area. So the lack of a shelter was the most expensive and least effective way to deal with this issue. Today we celebrate a new beginning, a comprehensive 24/7 shelter and service center, not just a meal or an isolated motel room, but a catalyst for real and lasting change in the lives of our community, as well as the individuals that it serves. It's not just a big box, but a comprehensive intake center to assess an individual's needs and refer them to on-site services, mental health treatment, substance abuse treatment, education, job training, interviews, financial planning, nutrition, a whole host of services that are going to be provided at this facility. This is going to substantially reduce street homelessness and will help everyone, not just improve the lives of individuals, but also business owners struggling to attract customers, taxpayers who support the jail, the medical facilities, law enforcement officers, visitors who enjoy our community, and anyone who uses public spaces on a regular basis. As the prior speakers have mentioned, there are many people to thank for this monumental achievement. This county council, the city commissions, faith groups, hundreds of volunteers given thousands of hours, including me. But here today, I'd specifically like to thank the Criminal Justice Committee. My co-chair, Aaron Delgado, who is a Daytona Beach City Commissioner, the mayor sits on this committee as well. Mr. Delgado could not be here today. He's also a defense attorney and sends his regrets. He had to be in court in Lake City. The Criminal Justice Committee advises the First Step Shelter Board on security issues in design and operation, police protocol to transport people to the shelter in lieu of arrest, homeless outreach teams that will be providing transport to the shelter, and also the criminal justice response to the voluntary participation in programs, whether that be dismissal of the charges or other true jail diversion programs. Our state attorney is here today, R.J. Larissa. Our public defender is here today, Mr. Purdy, Sheriff Chitwood, Mayor Partington, several chiefs of police, including South Daytona Chief Ron Wright, Daytona Beach Chief Capri, New Smyrna Chief Coffin, and Holly Hill Chief Aldrich, defense attorneys, judges, And all of these various folks that I've just named participate and volunteer their time in an unprecedented effort to coordinate services for this shelter. It's the only time I know of that all those disparate groups in the criminal justice system get together to work on a problem. And the amazing thing is that whether it's the state attorney, public defender, defense attorneys, police chiefs, or judges, we all agree. Now that is really an achievement. And we all agree that this shelter is a critical part of the criminal justice system, that it protects the civil rights of everyone, not just the individuals, but business owners, taxpayers, everyone here today. So this shelter is a wonderful achievement, and I commend each and every one of you for your participation in it. The Criminal Justice Committee is going to continue to meet and advise the First Step Shelter Board, and I want to thank you all very much from the bottom of my heart for your participation in that. Thank you all, and thank you for having me.
I do want to take this opportunity before our next speaker to recognize two groups that are not on the program but were very instrumental in helping us during this planning process. First was Halifax Urban Ministries, and I want to thank particularly Mr. Mark Ellis, who led that organization with distinction for quite some time, and he is here today. The second group I want to recognize that helped us during the crisis on Beach Street a little over a year ago, when there was a homeless encampment in front of one of our county buildings, was that of the Salvation Army. Let's give both these groups a big hand. Our next speaker is one who needs no introduction. He is the bulldog of faith and has led with distinction that organization that I was proud to serve with him as co-chair for a little while when this was one of the things that was on our agenda to bring forward. I want to introduce to you Father Phil Agito.
Mayor Henry asked, why did faith get involved? I think the question we ask ourselves is, what kind of community do we want to be? And we ask ourselves that question, and we know that when members of our community need help, we want to be a community of compassion and a community of justice. For injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. As it was said, I belong to Faith, a group which stands for Fighting Against Injustice Towards Harmony. It's a grassroots coalition of 32 congregations from all across Volusia County. I know many of you are here, so either raise your hand or stand. Alrighty, great. I ask you to do that because it's in our power of numbers and people who care that we are able to make a difference. For the past 5 years, Faith has been pushing for a comprehensive one-stop homeless assistance center for those of us who are homeless, who are experiencing homelessness. I say those of us because there is no such thing as an us and a them. It is not those people who are homeless. We are one people. There is only an us, and we have to respond to that us. I want to thank all of the Faith members for coming out year after year to demand change and to demand action for us. We certainly would not be where we are right now if people like Joan Campanaro, who is the head of our homeless committee, had not put in hundreds of hours demanding change. She actually was part of that meeting that Mayor Henry spoke about when we called him to action. As the great Frederick Douglass said, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. We have certainly had struggle. I can attest to that. But we also today celebrate progress. As many have said, I want to thank Mayor Henry, who did spearhead for us our demand for change, and as he said, Chair Kelly, who really was able to pull it together. my utmost admiration and respect for both. They were able to listen to their constituents, and they were able to work together, standing up for justice and bringing the community together to fund our First Step shelter. As an organization, we are grateful to our allies, especially Judge Schuman, especially Bob Williams, especially Mark Galis, especially Salvation Army, and all of us who worked together. Catholic Charities, who has not yet signed contract but has agreed to be the lead organization. Our entire community certainly is excited by the progress and continue to be involved to make sure that our First Step shelter is a true success in helping those of us who are homeless. I pray that God continue to guide us in our endeavor, because we realize that when he was homeless, we cared for his needs. Thank you.
I've heard Mr. Chisholm say in several meetings that we've had that Daytona Beach does not want to be in the homeless business. That's not what government really is an expert in. And so, under his leadership, we were able to reach out to an organization that is in the homeless business and helping people bring themselves and pull themselves up. And so today, our final speaker is Mr. Joe Ramirez with Catholic Charities. He is the Senior Director of Finance for that organization. Let's give him a hand as he comes.
Thank you, Dr. Durham. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Joe Ramirez. On behalf of the Diocese of Orlando and our Bishop John Noonan, Catholic Charities of Central Florida, and our Executive Director Gary Tester, we as a Roman Catholic faith-based organization are excited and welcome the privilege, honor, and opportunity in communion with all Volusia County partners to serve our homeless brothers and sisters needing or desiring our collaborative assistance. As Catholic Charities engages in this coordinated partnership with the First Step Board and Volusia County community, we are called to think through the appropriate administrative activities associated with serving our homeless brothers and sisters, of being able to effectively meet them where they are. At the same level, we are also challenged to thoughtfully consider our less fortunate brothers and sisters with our collective hearts. This is not an effort to reposition the homeless as an out-of-sight, out-of-mind proposition. Today is a significant milestone in an effort to develop and provide a menu of opportunities and pathways for our homeless brothers and sisters to function and succeed as productive citizens. A place where guests may safely learn life behavior patterns and then apply those patterns in supporting themselves while rechanneling their activities in a manner that results in a beneficial outcome to self and community. As the name implies, the contemplated delivered services are indeed but the first step in a series of steps. Additional resource investments must be considered, planned, and brought to fruition, not the least of which are jobs and permanent affordable housing. First Step will be judged successful when, with the community support, a guest has successfully navigated a path of acquiring and solidifying self-sufficiency. Again, this is and will be an effort, as so many have already said, a collaboration of many agencies, community partners, and individual citizens to improve the lives of our homeless brothers and sisters, not a one agency show or effort. Catholic Charities is humbled to join this community of all diverse partners in the goal of providing support to our brothers and sisters in need. We look forward to celebrating many more significant milestones in the months and in the years to come. Thank you very much for your kind attention. May God bless you all.
Thank you to all. All right, we are ready for the reason why all of us are here today, and that is to break the ground here on this site.
Oh, against the dirt. Against the dirt.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay, Mayor, you stay
I bet you do. All right, everybody dig a scoop. Hold it. Just straight ahead. Okay. On 3. 1, 2, 3. All right.
That took on 10 days.
Okay, great.
Just became an entrepreneur.
Oh,
Couldn't get launched.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Only made a short term.
It's like all the rest of it. Policy.
Oh, right.